The New Market Wizards by Jack D. Schwager. Picture this, one of the most explosive geopolitical events in modern history, the First Persian Gulf War, unfolds like a textbook case of catastrophically bad trading. Sounds strange? Stay with me. Imagine a trader we'll call Hussein. He spots what looks like an incredible opportunity and makes his move, invading the smaller, oil-rich territory of Kuwait. Initially, the trade seems genius. He's positioned to control massive oil reserves, manipulate prices, and dominate the entire region. The world's reaction? Lukewarm at best. It's like finding money on the sidewalk, just sitting there for the taking. Then everything shifts. A formidable opponent, President Bush, steps into the arena, deploying troops and building a global coalition against him. Every alarm bell is ringing. Any seasoned trader would recognize this signal, cut their losses, and exit the position. But Hussein? He can't let go. He's married to his original thesis. The market keeps moving against him. Deadlines pass. The potential for profit evaporates. Now he's just hoping to break even, to escape with his dignity intact. But hope, that treacherous emotion in trading, clouds his judgment. Maybe they're bluffing, he tells himself. Maybe things will turn around. Then the bombs start dropping. The position is hemorrhaging value. Each passing day multiplies the devastation. But how can he exit now, after losing so much? So he freezes, paralyzed like a deer caught in headlights, waiting for a miracle that will never materialize. Eventually, with his forces crushed and his nation in shambles, he surrenders. He's forced to close the position at the worst possible moment, completely wiped out, essentially screaming to his broker, "Get me out now. I don't care what it costs, just close this trade." Jack Schwager opens his masterpiece, The New Market Wizards, with this story, and it's not really about geopolitics at all. It's a parable for anyone who's ever pursued something challenging and stumbled. The lesson cuts deep. If you can't stomach a small loss, eventually you'll face a devastating one. Schwager, a brilliant market analyst and perpetual student, wasn't content with just understanding trading theories. He wanted to find the real practitioners, the genuine masters who consistently extract fortunes from the chaotic maelstrom of global markets, where most people lose their shirts. His first book, Market Wizards, became legendary. This sequel takes us even deeper into the psychology of success. Here's what Schwager discovered. The secret isn't some magical formula or sophisticated algorithm. It's something far more human. It's a collection of principles, a particular mindset, a unique lens for viewing the world that separates the winners from everyone else. I promise you this, by the end of our journey together, you'll understand that mindset. You'll learn the unshakable principles these masters live by, and you'll realize these aren't just trading rules. They're life rules. They're secrets to emotional mastery, intelligent risk management, and achieving excellence in whatever you choose to pursue. So let's dive into the minds of the market wizards. Here's a comforting truth from the wizards. Everyone gets knocked down. Even the author himself, after interviewing the world's greatest traders, opens with his own humbling misadventures in trading. It's refreshingly honest, almost confessional. Schwager had strong conviction the British pound was about to tank. The charts screamed it at him. But he was hesitant, distracted by life, not really in the mood to trade. He broke a cardinal rule: never trade when you're not feeling it. Yet the setup looked so perfect he couldn't resist. The next morning, he's sitting pretty with a nice profit. His analysis was spot on. Then his friend Harvey calls. Harvey's an expert in Elliott wave theory, and he's absolutely certain about a different trade. "Jack," he says, "you've got to sell the British pound." Now, Schwager's own analysis suggested the market was topping, but selling into a raging uptrend felt risky. Harvey was insistent, though. He called it the fifth of a fifth wave, the market's final gasp before collapse. Here's where Schwager made the classic blunder. He'd just taken a small loss on another position and wanted an easy recovery. So he decided to piggyback Harvey's idea. "Okay," he told Harvey, "I'll follow your lead. But you have to tell me when to exit. He surrendered his own judgment. He handed over control. Monday rolls around, and the pound gaps sharply higher against him. Every fiber of his being, every trading rule he knows, screams at him, never hold a position that gaps against you right after entry. But he'd made a pact. He calls Harvey. Harvey remains unshakable. It's just a wave extension, he says calmly. I'm holding my short. So Schwager stays short. Day after painful day, the market climbs higher. Day after day, warning signs multiply. Day after day, he ignores his own instincts and clings to Harvey's analysis. The market, as he later reflects, is a merciless enforcer that, unmercifully and unfailingly, extracts harsh fines for all trading transgressions. He finally capitulates weeks later after absorbing a brutal loss. The market, still climbing 7 months later. This sin of abandoning his judgment triggered a cascade of others: greed, ignoring clear signals, and worst of all, zero risk control. Even industry giants have these stories. Bill Lipschutz, nicknamed the Sultan of Currencies, inherited $12,000 from his grandmother and transformed it into $250,000 while still in college through sheer skill and obsession. The guy was a prodigy. Then came the infamous Granville reversal in 1982. Joe Granville, a massively popular market guru, issued a big sell recommendation. Lipschutz was bearish too. He pyramided his positions as the market declined, pressing hard, feeling invincible. Within days, the market violently reversed. He was wiped out. 4 years of brilliant work evaporated. What's the lesson here? Losing isn't just possible in this game, it's guaranteed. It's the entrance fee. The real wizardry isn't avoiding losses altogether. It's how you handle them when they arrive. It's what you extract from the experience. Schwager realized he'd been seeking an easy path. Lipschutz learned that leverage without discipline is like playing with dynamite. The fundamental truth, as Schwager states in his preface, the markets are not random, because they are based on human behavior, and human behavior, especially mass behavior, is not random. It never has been, and it probably never will be. The market mirrors our collective greed, fear, and hope. To master the market, you must first master yourself. So how does one embark on this journey? The book offers a beautiful parable in its prologue called The Jade Master. A young man treks through snow to learn about jade from a master. The Jade Master welcomes him, places a green stone in his palm, and begins discussing tree frogs. The young man, impatient, interrupts, "Excuse me, I came to learn about jade, not tree frogs." The master tells him to return in a week. This pattern repeats for weeks. Each visit, the master gives him a stone and tells seemingly unrelated stories. The young man's impatience gradually fades. He learns to prepare tea, sweep floors. He learns stillness. Then one spring day, as he holds the stone, he observes quietly, "The stone I'm holding isn't genuine jade." He'd learned. But not from textbooks or lectures. He learned by developing an intuition, a feel. By holding the authentic article so long he could instantly spot a fake. This secret echoes through every interview in the New Market Wizards. There's no single right approach to trading, no holy grail. As Schwager says, there are a million ways to make money in markets. The trick is discovering the one that's yours, the approach that fits your mind, temperament, and soul. Randy McKay, a clear-eyed veteran trader who served in Vietnam, nails it. Virtually every successful trader I know ultimately ended up with a trading style suited to his personality. This is the heart of the Jade Master's lesson. You can't simply copy someone else's method. You must discover your own. The book introduces us to a fascinating cast of characters, each finding their unique path to the summit. First, there's the mathematician, William Eckert. He sees the market as a statistical puzzle to solve, not a dramatic narrative. He was pursuing a PhD in mathematical logic when his friend, legendary trader Richard Dennis, lured him into trading. Eckhart approaches markets with rigorous analytical precision. He warns against the siren song of pattern recognition. The human mind, he says, was made to create patterns. It will see patterns in random data. His approach? Build robust systems and test them relentlessly, trying to destroy his own creations, because only those surviving such scrutiny deserve his trust. He represents the cold, scientific path. Then there's the artist, Linda Bradford Raschke. If Eckhart is science, Linda is art. A former professional pianist, she views markets completely differently. For her, trading resembles music. She told Schwager, "A musical piece has a definite structure. There are repeating patterns with variations. Analogously, the markets have patterns which repeat with variations." She doesn't rely on complex formulas, but on her highly developed pattern recognition. She's an intuitive short-term trader, reading market rhythm like a musical score. Her passion runs so deep she famously placed a trade just hours after giving birth. For her, trading isn't problem-solving. It's performance art. Next we meet the growth hunter, Richard Dryhouse. He embodies a philosophy that makes conventional investors nervous. Buy high and sell at even higher prices. Dryhouse isn't bargain hunting. He's hunting rockets. He seeks companies with explosive, accelerating earnings growth, often stocks with astronomical price-to-earnings ratios that have already made huge moves. Most people look at them thinking, too late, too expensive. Dryhouse sees horses just beginning to run. He understood early that fortunes are made jumping aboard the strongest performers, not trying to catch falling knives. He combines this fundamental growth search with keen technical analysis, waiting for price action to confirm his thesis. Then there's the global strategist, Stanley Druckenmiller. While Dryhouse focuses bottom-up on individual companies, Druckenmiller masters the top-down approach. He studies the grand chessboard of global economics, analyzing interest rates, currency flows, government policies, and major political events to determine where the tide's flowing. His most legendary trade came when the Berlin Wall fell. He saw it with crystal clarity. West Germany would spend a fortune rebuilding the East, creating massive budget deficits. Simultaneously, the German central bank, the Bundesbank, would never tolerate inflation, meaning they'd maintain tight monetary policy. This combination, expansionary fiscal policy plus tight monetary policy, was, in his view, incredibly bullish for the Deutsche Mark. While others sold the mark, worried about deficits, Druckenmiller went all in, with a reported $2 billion position. It became a magnificent trade. What do these four wizards teach us? The mathematician, the artist, the growth hunter, and the global strategist. They teach us there's no single treasure map. Eckhart's analytical rigor works for him. Raschke's intuitive artistry works for her. Dryhouse's growth focus works for him. Druckenmiller's global perspective works for him. The lesson isn't to imitate them. The lesson is they all discovered approaches true to themselves. They held the jadestone until they understood its essence. But finding your path is just the beginning. Once you have an edge, a method giving you better than even odds, you face an even greater challenge, surviving long enough to let that edge work. Which brings us to the single most crucial rule in the entire book, repeated in various forms by nearly every wizard. It's the unbreakable rule. Remember Hussein's disastrous trade? His downfall wasn't lacking strategy, it was lacking discipline. His inability to accept a small loss became his tombstone. This failure is engraved on nearly every failed trader's career. As Schwager wrote, if you can't take a small loss, sooner or later you will take the mother of all losses. This is risk management territory, the bedrock of trading success. Without it, even the most brilliant strategy crumbles. Victor Sperandeo, a trader with an incredible 18 consecutive winning years, makes this his foundation. He told Schwager he always predetermines his exit point before entering any trade. He knows exactly where he'll exit if wrong. For him, taking a loss isn't emotional. It's a planned business decision. I've always had a point where I knew that I was getting out. Taking a loss never affects me, but I don't take big losses. By planning losses in advance, he drains them of emotional power. Randy McKay takes it further. He not only cuts losses, but adjusts position sizes based on performance. When I start losing, I cut back my position size. I've gone from trading as many as 3,000 contracts per trade to as few as 10 when I was cold, and then back again. Essentially, he treats his own performance like a market trend. In a downtrend, a losing streak, he minimizes risk. In an uptrend, a winning streak, he presses his advantage. This ensures his biggest losses occur when betting small, and biggest wins can happen when betting big. But there's a subtle trap here, and William Eckhart identified it perfectly. One common adage that is completely wrong-headed is, you can't go broke taking profits. That's precisely how many traders do go broke. While amateurs go broke by taking large losses, professionals go broke by taking small profits. What's he saying? Cutting losses is only half the equation. The other half, separating good from truly great, is having courage and discipline to let winners run. This requires a completely different mental toughness. This brings us to what Stanley Druckenmiller calls the courage to be a pig. Druckenmiller learned this from his mentor, legendary investor George Soros. He told Schwager, "I've learned many things from him, but perhaps the most significant is that it's not whether you're right or wrong that's important, but how much money you make when you're right, and how much you lose when you're wrong." Think about that. It completely flips conventional thinking about success. We're taught to focus on win rate, how often we're right. But wizards teach us win rate is among the least important statistics. You can be right only 30% of the time and still make a fortune, as long as your winners massively dwarf your losers. Druckenmiller tells a story from when he started working for Soros. He was bearish on the US dollar and had put on a large short position. The trade started working beautifully, and he felt pretty proud. Soros walked into his office. "How big a position do you have?" Soros asked. $1 billion, Druckenmiller replied. Soros looked at him dismissively. "You call that a position?" He encouraged Druckenmiller to double it. He did, and the trade became spectacularly profitable. Soros taught him a crucial lesson. When you have tremendous conviction on a trade, you have to go for the jugular. It takes courage to be a pig. This is discipline's other side, the discipline to not grab a small, comfortable profit when a trade's working, the patience to sit tight, endure normal fluctuations, and ride a winning horse for everything it's worth. Richard Dryhouse lived this philosophy. He bought TCBY stock, This Can't Be Yogurt, at its initial public offering. After purchase, the stock dropped nearly 50%. But his research was solid, conviction high, and he not only held on, but bought more. The stock eventually climbed nearly 30-fold. He could have sold after it doubled or tripled, but he had courage to stay with it. Cut losses short and let winners run. Sounds simple, right? But it's perhaps the hardest thing to execute because it contradicts human nature. Our brains are wired for the opposite. We hate taking losses. It feels like admitting failure, so we hold on, hoping for recovery. We love taking profits. It feels like victory. So we grab them quickly, fearing they'll disappear. Market wizards succeeded because they've systematically trained themselves to override these primal, self-destructive instincts. They've learned to master their inner world. Which leads us to the final, perhaps most profound wisdom layer, the mind of the serene warrior. If you picture a successful trader, you might imagine someone high-strung, caffeine-fueled, perpetually on edge. But the trader's Schwager interviews are the opposite. The best have cultivated remarkable calm and emotional detachment. The epitome is a trader named Tom Basso, whom Schwager nicknames Mr. Serenity. Basso learned to view trading in a way that drains emotional toxicity. He told Schwager he treats every loss as tuition at the College of Trading. As long as he learns something, it's not truly a loss. His most powerful technique? Mental rehearsal. Before even reaching his office, he mentally runs through his day, imagining scenarios that could go wrong, and visualizing calm, planned responses. This preparation faced the ultimate test the night the Gulf War began. Basso held a substantial long position in crude oil. When war news broke, oil prices shot to $40 per barrel overnight. He went to bed anticipating massive profits. Next morning, he woke to discover the market had completely reversed. Crude oil was trading at $22. The huge overnight gain had become a catastrophic 15% portfolio loss. His reaction? He told Schwager he felt phenomenally good. Why? Because I realized that there was not a single thing I would have done differently. We did everything we had planned to do. He was completely detached from the outcome, focused solely on process. He followed his rules. That, to him, was the victory. He learned to observe his own life and trading as if watching a movie. If instead of saying, I'm going to do this trade, you say, I'm going to watch myself do this trade, all of a sudden you find that the process is a lot easier. This detachment is the holy grail of trading psychology. Charles Faulkner, a consultant studying achievers' mindsets, explains successful traders have both toward and away from motivation. They're driven toward profits and success, but also powerfully motivated away from excessive risks pain. This balance keeps them aggressive when appropriate and defensive when necessary. Robert Krauss, a fascinating character who's both trader and hypnotherapist, digs even deeper. He argues our subconscious beliefs are the true puppet masters. He's seen traders with brilliant systems who keep losing. Why? Because subconsciously they don't believe they deserve to win. Past failures, hidden guilt, feelings of inadequacy, these manifest as self-sabotage in the market. As Krauss says, one cannot truly be a winner until the subconscious mind is fully in tune with what the conscious mind has set out to achieve. So where does this leave us? With a picture of the complete trader. Someone who's done the hard work to find a method fitting their personality. Someone living by unbreakable risk control rules. Someone with courage to press winners, and most importantly, someone who's achieved inner calm, detached from the emotional roller coaster of wins and losses. It's a game, not a war. This is the final lesson. The best traders, like Jeff Yass, see the market as a giant poker game. Yass, a serious poker player, applies game theory principles to trading. He understands it's not just the cards you're dealt, but understanding your opponents. He tells a brilliant story about the game show Let's Make a Deal, illustrating how intuition can be dead wrong. He knows the obvious conclusion is almost always incorrect. The market is a puzzle, a strategic game of immense complexity and beauty. For Dryhouse, it's finding the next great company. For Joe Ritchie, founder of trading giant CRT, it's the fun of solving market inefficiency puzzles. They love the challenge. Money, as Paul Tudor Jones said, is just keeping score. Perhaps the most hopeful message comes from the Turtles story. Legendary trader Richard Dennis made a bet with his partner, William Eckhart. Dennis believed he could take ordinary people with zero trading experience and teach them to become great traders. Eckhart believed it was innate talent that couldn't be taught. Dennis placed a newspaper ad, selected a diverse group, the Turtles, and trained them in his systems for 2 weeks. He gave them his rules, methods, and philosophy. Then he gave them millions of his own dollars to trade. The result? Phenomenal success. Many became legends themselves, managing hundreds of millions. Richard Dennis won the bet. Trading greatness, he proved, isn't some magical inborn gift. It's a set of principles. It's a mindset. And it can be learned. Stepping back from the new market wizard's lessons, what stands out isn't a secret trading formula, it's a profound insight into human nature. The most powerful lesson is that mastery in any demanding field comes from mastering yourself. The market is simply a giant, unforgiving feedback loop, brutally and honestly reflecting your discipline, patience, emotional control, and ability to learn from mistakes. The wizard's Schwager interviews aren't superhuman. They're people who faced their own flaws, greed, fear, impatience, and built frameworks to manage them. Their journey isn't just a money-making blueprint. It's a blueprint for achieving excellence. It's about building a success system, whether in your career, personal habits, or any goal you set. How can you start applying these powerful ideas right now? Here are 3 simple actions. First, start a decision journal. For the next month, pick one area where you want to improve: studying, fitness, budgeting, whatever. Before making decisions, write down your plan and reasoning. Each day, review your actions. Did you follow through? If not, why? Be brutally honest. This isn't about self-judgment. It's building self-awareness and discipline muscles, just like Schwager learned from his misadventures. The goal isn't perfection, it's learning. Second, define your personal edge. The wizards all have an edge, a unique approach working for them. What's yours? Think about an area where you already excel. Video games, a sport, a school subject, anything. What do you understand or do better than most in that area? Now consider how you could apply that same thinking, that same edge, to a new challenge. This is the Jade Master's lesson. It's not about copying someone else's strategy. It's discovering your unique strengths and applying them. Third, practice the Tom Basso technique of mental rehearsal. Next time you have a stressful event approaching, an important exam, big game, difficult conversation, take a few minutes to sit quietly and visualize it. Imagine what could go wrong. Picture the worst-case scenario. Then visualize yourself responding calmly, coolly, according to plan. By rehearsing failure mentally, you strip it of emotional power. You're training your brain to focus on process, not outcome. This single habit can build incredible emotional resilience. These wizards teach us the path to success isn't finding a secret shortcut. It's building a solid foundation of discipline, self-awareness, and relentless learning. Their stories powerfully remind us the greatest battles aren't fought against the market or competitors, but against the limitations we place on ourselves. That was a summary of The New Market Wizards by Jack Schwager. We've touched on core principles today, but honestly, a summary is like viewing a photograph of a great adventure. It can show you the destination, but never replaces the journey itself. The real magic of this book lies in the stories, the nuances of each trader's personality, and those quiet moments when a single phrase hits you unexpectedly. This summary provides a map to help you decide if this journey's worth taking. If anything we've discussed today sparked your curiosity or resonated with your ambitions, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can genuinely change how you see success, failure, and the incredible potential within you. A link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable and thought-provoking, please show some support by hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep learning and growing together. Thank you for listening.